This is going to be over. Lions are going to win it. Lions are bringing the NFC North title back to Detroit.
And with the help of now DJ Reader, we're expecting the Detroit Lions to get back to the NFC North championship. Take it, pack it in, do it again. Lions signed DJ Reader just a few moments ago. And as my funny little tweet says, he made the mistake of flying commercial today because between the Lions and DTW, they stalled the plane. They made sure this guy wasn't leaving without a contract. So good to have DJ Reader aboard. Good signing. You guys know, you heard me in the very beginning of this week on Monday that, I wasn't real big on DJ Reader. I know some of you were and wanted him to be a Detroit Lion. You got your wish. I was more worried about the injury history and the fact that there was still some top tier guys on the board. When that board slims and it gets to next to nothing, you've got to select some sort of an impact player. And that is DJ Reader. He's expected to be an impact player in 2024. I've seen a couple of questions in here. Is he expected to come back this year? He is. And he's expected to be ready by week 1. It's not like he should miss even camp. He should be ready to go by camp. So that's good news. We'll see, as the season progresses, more information will come out. But the Lions do full medical on DJ Reader today. Is the news that was reported earlier, and he's passed. So the fact that he was able to pass the medical today, and with the Lions revamped medical team, I'm expecting the DJ Reader is going to be just fine. Couple other news and or at least noteworthy things here. This is going to be a quick video. Eric Armstead off the board to the Jaguars. Benito Jones headed back to the Dolphins. And Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell not only get extended today, but they save the day on free agency by getting us an impact player and an impact signing in DJ Reader. If you guys were not here this morning and saw some of the PFF stats that we shared, let's go over some of that right now. All right. So first, we'll start with Benito Jones because, for all intents and purposes, Reader is taking Benito's spot. I mean, Benito was the guy that was next to Aleem the majority of the season, and Benito's gone. So as we spoke about it this morning, you're getting a major upgrade from what Benito was able to do. Benito had 15 solo tackles, 1 sack, 9 forced fumbles. But overall, I mean, just terrible grading, terrible pass rush. As a defensive tackle, you need somebody that's going to be a run stuffer at least. And I mean, he was decent at that. I mean, we had a great run stuffing game. The Lions did well in the run game. And that's what we saw today, that we're going to upgrade that run stuffing element with DJ Reader. 19 total pressures through 4 hits, 14 hurries, 1 sack. 10 stops, but just not the greatest of grades. So let's switch over to Aleem McNeil now. Now, Aleem McNeil, we know, is having a stellar season. He was ranked in the top 10 for defensive tackles through the first 8 games of the season, and then things started to kind of trickle off for him a little bit. But he had a great season, 3rd season with the Detroit Lions, and really showed that he's making, leaps and bounds with his body and the things that he did throughout the offseason to be prepared for a solid season. And he did have a solid season. So 16 solo tackles, 13 assists, 1 forced fumble, 5 sacks, which is great for a defensive tackle. And overall grade 88.5. Run defense, he was a run stuffer at 79.3, and pretty darn good in the pass rush too, with a 76.2. Total pressures 34, 5 hits, 24 hurries, and 5 sacks. 19 stops for Aleem McNeil in 2023. And now let's take a look at DJ Reader. What is he going to be giving us that is different or better than the other 2 guys? So DJ Reader last season, he exited the season week 15, so he missed out on basically the last 3 games. And of course, any postseason action, solo tackles, which the Bengals didn't have. Solo tackles, 30, 5 assists, 2 sacks, 82.2 overall. I mean, so that's a huge upgrade to Benito Jones, 37.4. So you're talking almost 50 points difference between the guys. That's a huge upgrade. Run defense, 75.3. Pass rush, 79.1. 34 total pressures. So he mirrored Aleem McNeil. Aleem McNeil also had 34 pressures. 5 hits, 27 hurries, 2 sacks. Again, Aleem, 34 pressures, 5 hits, 24 hurries, 5 sacks. So almost identical. Aleem just ended up with a better grade. But now we're adding 2 high-profile defensive tackles next to each other. And whoever we add through the draft or throughout the rest of free agency. And, of course, you got Broderick Martin now who's going to be able to learn from both of these guys. And he's going to need it. Broderick Martin is going to have to make leaps and bounds happen this season for a lot of us to, feel better about the pick. Now, he's a developmental pick. We knew that. He was totally off the radar. And a lot of us were scratching our heads trying to figure out who this guy was. I remember when I was live last year during the draft, I had no idea who Broderick Martin was. I don't think anybody did, to be honest with you, besides Brad Holmes. And I'm hoping that this year we're going to see a major transformation in Broderick. He's taken this offseason extremely professional and difficult, on himself, making it difficult on himself to get in better shape, to have a better impact. Isaiah Buggs worked with him last year quite a bit, and we were hearing a lot of good things. And for whatever reason, it just didn't work out as well as we had hoped. But now he has 2 really good mentors, great mentors to learn from, to take all of their tricks and tips from them and benefit himself in 2024. And hey, if we end up with, if Benito Jones, had that terrible of a season as far as grades, but was still a pretty impactful player when he was on the field, if Broderick Martin can just be somewhere between these guys, I think we're going to be all right. But as you guys know, what was my number one wish for this free agency? Number one wish. Well, 2. I said defensive tackle, cornerbacks. Brad Holmes did just that. We evaluated this entire offseason, what the Lions were going to need, and we're hitting some home runs right now. And it's all about the work, man. It's all about the research, and it's a lot of work. That's all I can really say. It's a ton of work to try to figure out Brad Holmes. Other teams, I think you can figure them out a little bit easier. I think their GMs are more along the line, some, not all, along the lines of, taking the shiniest toy and the best player, that's out there and paying big money for some of these players. Some GMs are just like that. They're easier to figure out. Brad Holmes, almost impossible to figure this guy out. So he's at least grabbed the players that I was hoping. They just weren't the players that I was hoping. They weren't the names. But Kendall Fuller, another name. I can't remember where he went right now, but for him to ink a deal for, $8 million a year or less is exactly what I thought that he was going to get paid, and he did. And I think it's still a mistake that, that we didn't grab him, but there's a reason why. We will never know what that reason is. We just know that he's intentional about everything he does. Brad Holmes is intentional, and he just said that in his press conference a few weeks ago. So, of course, chat is flying like crazy. Let me see if I can find anything in here. See what you guys are saying. Let's see here. Donkey Kong says, so in November, we will have Mosley and DJ Reader back from injury. Reader should be sooner than that. Reader should be ready to go by camp. I think that Mosley obviously is going to take the full 12 months. It's it's an ACL. I want to say that Jamison Williams did it in 11 months and was ready to come back. And E-Man did it in 11 months, came back, and then had another surgery, which delayed him till week 5 or 6, whatever it was. I think it was 6. No, it was 5. Sorry. What did I hear about Armstead? Yeah, he's gone. He is gone. Would have been another great signing. I mean, I couldn't imagine having all three of those guys up the middle. Bo Gagria says you have to double Reader. It's a known fact, and it has been a known fact. I mean, Reader eats up double teams. Now, some of his stats are reflective of that. You know, interior double teams are a little bit harder than, you know, on the outside. Sometimes double teams on the outside are a little bit easier to shake because when you're stuck in the middle, you got guys slamming you from all sides, your own guys and, you know, a couple of tackles or guards or whomever's on you. At least he's able to be nasty with it, right? And help to make plays, which I think is going to be conducive of his play this offseason or this season. Is that, you know, he's nasty aggressive, DJ Reader. And in the fact that he takes double teams on with ease and he's still able to make plays and be productive is hopeful. And at least I'm hopeful that he's going to be able to do it again after this injury. And Brad Holmes, look, man, super smart deal. 2 years, $27.5 million, basically, with $9 million guaranteed. So right now we've got a $9 million rental on this guy for 2 seasons. Super smart deal. So even at the full rate, you know, roughly $13.5 million a season, that's a steal for DJ Reader, in my opinion. If he was fully healthy, I would think that he's getting closer to $20 million a season if he was fully healthy. So great deal by Brad Holmes. I'm excited. I'm glad that he's going to be a Detroit Lion. I'm glad that Brad Holmes finally addressed the defensive front. And I think that this really guides us to what's going to happen in the draft here in 2024. I'm expecting that Brad Holmes is going to find a young defensive tackle and defensive end to add to this team. And I think that potentially safety is probably high on his list right now. So we'll get more into that as we get closer to the draft, but free agency is pretty much all but over for the Detroit Lions. I'm not expecting a whole lot more to happen. We might get lucky and be able to bring in another guard or a swing tackle or somebody that can help this offensive line, you know, like Graham said, figure it out. And I think they'll figure it out. I don't think that Brad Holmes is going to allow this offense to take one step backwards. And whether that's a high draft pick at left guard or even a first round pick at left guard, I wouldn't be surprised. But we'll get closer to the draft. We'll get more information out to you guys. And of course, the night before the draft, we will have a live show. It's like 4 hours long. And we'll be going through all the picks. We'll be going through each round for the Detroit Lions. It'll be done differently. It's not so much with PFF mocks. We'll be talking about the players and the best fits. And then the day of the draft, we'll be on live a couple hours early. And we'll do our final review. And after we do the final review, we will call the draft live. I'm not sure who I'm going to have yet, but we will have some special guests for that night. And I think it's going to be a fun night. It'll definitely be a lot better than it was last year. Yeah, I think Andy and I did it last year, and it was a great show. But this year it's going to be a little bit more high end and a little bit better produced. So we're excited about it. Yeah, I'll be down at the draft. I'm still tossing it up. So I rented a room that was literally looking over the park. It was an apartment. And just a couple of months ago, I got an email that said that they declined it. So I already had it rented, and it was only $300 a night, and then they declined it, and now that same room is like $1,800 a night. So they figured out that it was the draft, and it was a perfect room overlooking everything. And I was just going to go live from there. I wasn't even going to be down at the draft. But I don't know. We'll see. I still got to toss this one around whether I want to be outside, you know, with all of these people, unless I can be up in the front. I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. We'll see. We'll see what happens, but I will be there somewhere, guaranteed. Does this mean, Ed W., does this mean that we can handle mobile quarterbacks now? I think what it does is I think it helps us stop the middle. I don't think it's going to help us stop the outside. You know, the outside has been one of our problems, but if you look at where Justin Fields and Jalen Hurts did a lot of their business, it was through the middle. The middle would break down and they would get through it. And that was our Achilles heel, whether it was, right through the gap next to Aiden or even on the other side. They were coming through the guard gaps. And then on the outside, off Aiden Hutchinson's end, we lost a ton of yardage to quarterbacks and running backs in 2021. It was like over 1,000 yards came through those gaps. And that's the stuff that's going to get cleaned up in the middle with a guy like DJ Reader and a Lee McNeil and now a Jack Campbell that can run laterally. And we still have Alex Anzalone this year, and he's flying to the outside. So, and then of course we got Brian Branch. We've got players now. We've got a hell of a team. We really do. Yeah, good luck to the Bengals this year. They're in trouble. They're in big time trouble. So, yep. Now we just got to get a pass rusher in the draft, Chop or Darius. I think that they're both good options. And both of them have been, near the top of my list this entire offseason. We'll see what happens. As we get closer to the draft, there's going to be a lot more information that's going to be coming out. Of course, it's like politics now. It's going to be nothing but smear campaigns going out left and right. And we'll see what happens with these guys. Some guys are going to be falling. Some guys are going to be moving up. But like I said, prior to the combine, to watch out for a few guys, and they've been flying up the boards. Chop Robinson being one of them. And I expected, guys that had the shorter arms to be dropping down the boards. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of those guys that have fallen wouldn't end up on Brad Holmes' list. And who I'm talking about is Braden Fisk. And the reason why I say that is because of his motor, his FBI, an extreme football guy, just short arms. But you cannot scrap the way that this guy gets after it every single play. He never takes a play off. Super high energy, super good dude. Those are the kinds of guys that Brad Holmes is looking for. And I wouldn't be surprised that if he slips to the middle of the second round, if the Lions aren't players to try to grab somebody like that. We've seen Brad Holmes do it before. I think he'll probably do it again. Steve Wilds, I don't know that to be true about Chop. I think he's a pretty good dude so far. Everything that I've read on him, watched on him, seems to be a pretty solid guy. But we still have a lot of work to do. A lot of work at figuring out, who these guys really are. Sheldon Rankins, the wingman. So Sheldon Rankins went to the Bengals. And Sheldon was another idea, that I was having for Detroit, like, another great fit. And I felt like that could have been a better option, had we lost all the first tier guys, but somebody that is ready to go right now, no injury, probably would have been a better option. But I like Reader. I like his body of work. Just don't like the injuries. So do you like Kool-Aid McKinstry? Absolutely. So Penn State guys, Penn State, even though I'm not a Penn State fan, they put out some good players. I'm looking out for Theo Johnson to slam up these boards in a hurry. He's somebody that you got to keep your eyes on. And to be honest with you, we've got Zielstra back and we got Brock Wright back, but who are we going to have next year? And I would think that if you really want to solidify the tight end position for a long time, I wouldn't put it past Brad Holmes to grab a tight end if he can't get the receiver that he wants in this draft. So, all right, well, that's all for today. Just wanted to give you guys a quick update, which I'm sure you already knew anyway. Braylon Dennis with the $5 super chat says that we could have gotten safety Jordan Poyer. From what I heard, he sounds like a Dan Campbell guy. You'd have to, tell me where he went again. I can't remember where Poyer went to. Dan Orlovsky wants to see T. Higgins to be here. That's interesting. Armstead signed Jacksonville. Yep. Need an offensive guard. So Poyer went to Miami. I guess that's not surprising. They lost a bunch of players. But that's all for today. I'll be back on at 8:00 tonight. And Big Walt, I did too, man. I was trying to fit in at least a 30-minute nap. I've been going hard all week. and the phone was going nuts. And I'm like, all right, we got to do this. We got to get this set up and get live and start talking to everybody. But all right, we'll see you guys tonight, 8:00 off the cuff right here. Rock on Detroit Lions. Go DJ Reader, man. Welcome to Detroit. Again, might be hard on you earlier, but I'm always going to be a fan when you wear that Honolulu blue. So get up, get ready, get to Detroit, get healthy, get on the field. Let's go win the damn thing this year. Can we please? Can we go do it finally? I think we can do it. So, all right, we'll see y'all later. Talk to you soon.